All right, it's back to business as usual, and we're back on your platform. As you're watching us live on WAZOBIA Max channel 57, our terrestrial platform. This is Crossfire, and today is Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and it's Feedback Friday. So we'll try as much as possible to bring as many stories as we can across your way. I mean, first on the list this morning is to let you know that the resumption of President Muhammadu Buhari has been delayed, or probably tactically delayed, because I know the president loved that vocabulary a lot. We have tactically defeated Boko Haram, but yet we're still fighting them. But at the same time, tactically, his resumption has been delayed till 19th of June. 2016. So as expected yesterday that the president will come back into town, I mean, they took it like, okay, you're coming back into town and it's a Thursday and Friday and there's going to be weekend. Why don't you just stay over and spend the weekend in the United Kingdom and probably come in on Sunday and resume office on Monday? So we're expecting the president back, I mean, during the weekend, and by Monday, I'm very sure he will be taking over the mentorship of the country again from the acting president, Vice President Oshibajo. Now, a very interesting thing is to let you know that the Inspector General of Police of Nigeria is 60 years old, and that simply means by civil servants law, he is expected to step aside. So is federal government looking for a replacement for Solomon Arase, the Inspector General of Police? Now, that's a big question, and we will bring you updates on that at the same time. Now, don't forget that it's been trending, and this is still about the president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, the certificate saga, don't forget that before he was finally elected as president of Nigeria, some issues came up about whether he went to school or he didn't go to school, whether his certificate was present with the military or not. But this issue is becoming to trend again, and people are wondering. So the court make some very crucial decision yesterday. Justice Adeni Ademola of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Thursday yesterday, indefinitely adjournment of the suit challenging the academic credentials of President Muhammadu Buhari. So anybody who feels that this is still a very big issue to make, haven't been elected as a president, I mean, that issue is still going on. Now, federal government decrees state of emergency. Find out why the government, is doing this, because there's an issue that is warranting that there's a need, for us to make more food. Let's go back to the field. We have launched Operation Feed the Nation. We have launched Green Revolution before. So there is very big problem with food security in Nigeria. And so there's a need for every hand to be on deck so that we will not go hungry. All right. Now, it's really very interesting. Let's quickly let you know also that Boko Haram suffered a major setback yesterday as, the army eventually, decimated Boko Haram, which has been, a very big success because they were about taking over some other regions and they were being curbed. And at the same time, they are now in a particular place where they can be well managed and monitored and eventually probably rounded up in due course. Now, it is important also that we have fresh hostages, that were, that the army eventually cleared out as they were trying to do their work yesterday. So this week, the Nigerian army engaged them in a fierce battle, and they were able to bring out hostages again. Anyway, you and I wouldn't know if any of the Chibok girls are either involved or not. All right, it's Feedback Friday on Crossfire. I'm not alone here. Ishoma Againe is here in the studio. Ishoma, good morning.
Good morning, Dapo. Good morning, Nigerians. And yes, this is Crossfire.
All right, we'll quickly go on a break now. When we come back into the full package that we have for you today, and then you'll meet our guests. We'll be right back after this. All right, we're back, and it's still Crossfire with Dakbo and Ishoma. Today, we are dedicating to talking very seriously about security in Nigeria. National security is something that should take top priority because as it is in Nigeria today, we have a lot of groups coming out, really bombarding and disturbing the peace of the nation. Now, it is very important for us to know that the Avengers, finally will be hosting the ministers in the Niger Delta, because all of them are actually storming the Niger Delta to follow up, action following the continued bombing of oil installations by the Niger Delta Avengers and other militant group in the South. So Nigerian Minister of State of Petroleum, Ibe Kachiko, has stormed the region. So he really wants to find out what exactly is the issue. And that is still talking about security. On Crossfire today, like I said earlier, our focus is going to be given or having the national security as top priority. And we have this fantastic set of guests that we have brought into the studio who definitely will be running the show with us. Number one on the list is someone that I know is very, very much interested in ensuring that background check is done for you want to employ someone, you want to employ even a house help. Have you done a background check?
Even your neighbor.
You want to live in a house. Have you done background check? You want to work with an organization. You want to attend a church. Have you done background check of the pastor of that church or where he's coming from or whatever? Background check has become something that is really very paramount, exceptionally important if you are going to get your security right. So we have a background check consultant in the midst, in the studio with us, and it's no other person but Frank. Oh, here we go. Now, Frank, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome into our studio. Thank you. All right. At the same time, we have someone who is an expert in crime prevention and public safety. He's actually a safety expert too, just like Frank. And at the same time, we will be talking with him in the studio. Let's meet Prince Henry Osuago. Prince Henry, good morning.
Welcome
and
to
good to have you back in our studio.
Thank you.
Now, we made security top priority on the show today, and that's because, it's just not enough to want to talk about Boko Haram activities. It's not just enough to want to talk about the Fulani herdsmen. It's not just enough to want to talk about the Niger Delta Avengers or the Bakassi boys. I hope you know they are back. You know, and they are saying that, see, we are back better. I think they are more equipped and they know exactly what they want to do this time. I remember that the Bakassi boys entrance into some of the activities today was when we finally launched OPC in the southwest, and then the Bakassi boys came up, in the southeast. Now it's really very important that we talk about security, and I want us to be able to help our people, our listeners, and people who are watching us out there. And to really get some information that can prepare them, enough. Because today we are saying not east, not south, and everything. Who knows if we have an impending invasion of any of this group, aiming at our very local domain, and all of that. The fact that some states today seems calm is not an indication that we are actually totally exactly safe. Now, let us talk about national security. Now, what exactly is national security, Prince?
When we want to look at national security, we look at it from the security perspective. That is where everybody is living peacefully. Okay. Where you go to sleep, and when you are sleeping, your eyes are well closed. You close your eyes and you are sleeping, no disturbance. That is when you will say you have relative peace in a society. But where a fraction is having a kind of maybe disintegration, insecurity, you cannot say you have your agitations here and there. You cannot say actually you have what the national security in its true sense. But who is responsible for national security? As it were. Whose primary responsibility?
Definitely,
the national security issue is a responsibility of every Nigerian.
Oh, I thought it's federal government.
No. We have to look at it very, very well. Security starts from you and I. The federal government has that responsibility as the custodian of everybody. But then, our own security too, it starts from we as individuals too, to support the initiatives, the security drive of the government.
How can I possibly do that when I don't carry arms?
Exactly. Because Mr. Prince, if I have to, as a citizen, I have to support what the government they're putting on the ground today, don't you think that can lead to a bigger problem? Let's look at the herdsmen crisis. Also, because of the state of security, as they have alleged, they have to protect themselves and their cattle when they move around. So that also prompted them to moving about with sophisticated weapons, which ordinarily has resulted into a bigger problem in society. So if I have to protect myself, it means I have to be fully equipped. Get my TNT or probably my guns, whatever stun guns, whatever it is to protect myself.
Isioma, you are not getting me right. Okay. What I'm talking about here is you yourself. You have to be security conscious, not by carrying arms. Okay. Only information to the right authorities can solve a lot of problems. It's not wrong.
Okay.
Really?
It's not by carrying guns.
There's this story that was reported in the Punch yesterday or some days back about a community that reported a security breach. Now, they reported this incident, and apparently, according to what they said, that the security breach was perpetrated by members of the police force. Now, they reported to correspondents of the Punch newspaper, and guess what? The security operatives invaded that community again and began arresting people for reporting to the media. So, I mean, when you look at the security state in Nigeria today, it's, from what you've said, Nigeria is not safe, and people too are scared to report, to give us security information.
No, let's not say Nigeria is not safe here. Nigeria is safe.
Okay.
Let's throw that out.
Nigeria is safe.
Nigeria is quite safe, irrespective of our differences or the challenges we have here and there. We cannot come and say that.
Okay,
Nigeria
Frank,
is not safe.
let's take a cue from you. What exactly is security to you as an expert? Even though I know your specialization is the background check, but as a matter of fact, I know that, I mean, your experience would have taken you and make you very diverse in your perception about what national security is all about.
Now, let me take a cue from Mr. Henry. Now, when we talk of security, the government has its part, the people have their part, but the driver is the government. But the people cannot sit down and fold their arms and say it's totally the government responsibility. Now, when we say security, security does not necessarily involve use of arms and ammunition. If you have security problems, does not necessarily mean that Bakassi boys are fighting, Boko Haram is fighting. There are other security issues that the government that the people will be able to help the government with. For instance, we have been advocating that the government should spearhead the consciousness of pushing background check into the society as a phenomenon.
Okay.
Now, if that happens, that means...
What exactly is background check?
Now, background check is getting information to make informed decision.
Okay.
Okay? So, if my neighbor comes in every 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I don't know where he works, and I don't take time to find out the kind of job he does, then I'm at risk, and the whole neighborhood is at risk. But if I go and do a background check and find where does this man work, and they tell me that he works in a radio station.
But
So,
in the process of trying to carry out, I mean, I am not a security expert.
Yes.
And I'm concerned about a neighbor whose activities are questionable.
Yes.
And you want me to personally go out there to start carrying out a background check?
No, let me not let you go fast so that we don't spend so much time.
All right.
Now, you don't need to do that yourself.
Okay.
There are experts who are responsible for that. Your own, that's why we said the government should drive it so that people will, if you want to insure your car, you don't insure your car yourself. You go to the insurance company.
Yeah.
Because the government says you must insure your car. Okay? So the government says you must conduct background check. There are background check organizations. In fact, more will come in because they know that there's a job for them to do.
Okay.
So once the government has put that in place and said background check is compulsory, and if you don't do it, if anything happens, you'll be held responsible. Like you have abroad. There's negligent hiring and there's negligent retention. So if my neighbor, I don't understand his activity, I go to a professional background check company. I say, please, can you help me find out where this guy works? Not the police.
Okay.
And the report comes back and says he works in Cool TV because they do overnight. They do so he can come at that odd hours. So I understand. But if they tell me he's a teacher, then and I go to the police, who has the authority now to probably arrest and investigate. So that makes the job of the police easier.
Okay, so the process is I consult a background checker, and then the background checker
gives me information.
And then who eventually communicates with the police?
That's why I said it helps you to make informed decisions.
So how am I protected? Do I now, okay, if the background check consultant or expert gets in touch with me and say, I think we have a very big problem here.
Yeah.
We have done a check on your neighbor, and these are the information we have. what do I do at that point? I go to the police myself, or I allow the background check expert to go and represent?
No.
Okay.
Now, that's why we say it helps you to make informed decision. Now you know what this guy is. Do you want to go to the police? Do you want to go to the owner of the house? Do you want to go to the chairman of the association? Do you want to go to the CDA? Okay. To report this man, or to make them know that this man comes in 12-1-2 and he's a teacher by virtue of the information we've gotten.
So what does it do?
So what does it do
Where
late
is it
at
coming
night?
from?
So is that left? That's why I say help you to make information. So is that left, or you, whether you want to go through these processes, or you want to go to the police straight, or whatever, or you want to even be careful of how you relate with him, and also helps you also to also monitor the kind of visitor that he receives. Now that you have gotten that information, so now before you even go to the police, you may probably want to get more information by monitoring his movement.
Okay, now
the kind of visitor he gets.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
in the event now where your neighbor or someone in your community is a foreigner, an alien, for example, in terms of the person is not a citizen of Nigeria, and the person has never been domiciled in Nigeria, just got to Nigeria and found they found themselves in your neighborhood. How will you be able to carry a background check? Let's not forget also that the Brussels attack in Belgium, also these individuals, the perpetrators of those acts, were foreigners. They were not nationals, they were not citizens of that country. But then they were, because they have sufficient security database there, they were able, within 48 hours, link the perpetrators of the act. In Nigeria, we do not have proper security database, as we know. And then, if the person is a foreigner, how can you conduct background check on that individual?
Now, we said background check will help the government to have a data or database. Because as you conduct, if the government is serious, that's what I said initially, that there must be the will. So if the government is serious about having a database, apart from the registration and normal registration, whenever, like Boga said, whenever anybody comes to the police station, register the person, take the person's details and all that. Let it not end there. Put it to a system. So if I have a background check report and I go to the police and I say, this is what information I have about this person.
And they impute it.
And they impute it to the police. Gradually we are getting, something. Now, for a foreigner, that's why we advocate that landlords, the government should mandate landlords to conduct background check on their tenants. So if a foreigner comes into Nigeria and wants to rent a building,
at least he's going to talk to a landowner.
He's going to talk to a landowner, he's going to talk to an agent. Yes. So the owner of the property conducts background check to know who he is. And if he's a foreigner, at least he will give us information about himself.
It now doesn't matter if it's before or after. Before the person gets into the building or not.
Now the information he gives you, we have partnership with foreign background check companies. So if the person is a Belgian, for instance, all I need to do is contact my partners within that region and say, look, we have this person, we have this job to verify this person's personality.
Let's quickly take our first call on the show. Celestine, good morning.
Celestine, good morning.
Yeah, can you speak out a little bit?
Yeah, you're speaking with Celestine from Ikoyi.
All right, Celestine, let's take your thoughts.
Yeah, please, I don't know if you're talking about finding a background check on people.
Security.
Is it going to be done by, let's say, a body or individuals or your neighbors? Because to me, it's privately too invasive for you to just, an individual, run a background check on whatever person he likes. It's too much detail thrown out in the open.
All right. Anyway, we'll throw more light on that. Anyway, it's good to let you know that Frank Owerigbo is a background check consultant. He runs an organization that is into this business. So, I mean, it is important that we recognize people whose responsibility or work is this particular assignment. You see, because like I was asking you the other time, is it possible for an individual, because it's really very tasking, for me to just go ahead and start asking people in an environment where I am also known, and I'm trying to say, do you know this guy? What does he do? Where does he work? What if this person sells out that I saw somebody who came around.
Sorry.
He lives inside this house and is asking, what do you do? Where are you from? Whatever, and all of that. I am putting myself into a very big problem because the person is already wondering, why is this person trying to gather information about me? Now, let's move on here. As a crime prevention and public safety, expert, Prince, I want to find out what exactly are the security apparatus that a state government, for instance, you see, because the state is providing. I do not see any form of security in my local government. I think in Lagos State, for instance, Lagos State is the one responsible, and they try to deploy as much as they can within every locality. Within
the federal government
exactly.
is responsible, but the state government, the government in Lagos only supports.
That's what I'm saying. So, what is the state government doing, to ensure that security, of lives and property trickles down to where I live, to my locality, to my environment, as a government? I should feel the presence of government, within my neighborhood. But because what we have today is that part of what I cater for every month is that I pay security. I pay for security. Local men who do not sleep overnight, who provide security for us. And most of the time, the CDA gathers them, and you don't even know, no background check. You don't even know where they are coming from. But they just approach your house and say, we have employed 6 security people who are going to be guiding this area, and this is what we pay them every month. So, Prince,
apparently, the questions you are asking is quite on point. I might not be able to speak for other states, but in Lagos here, as a state where I reside, I believe that the government here is doing very well. Okay. In terms of the approach they have used. They have this security trust fund, whereby people also make contributions, organizations support in that area. And it also, if you now look at from the federal government aspect of it, we have policemen all over the place. You might say the number of the policemen is not enough. You understand?
Obviously, Nigeria is under-policed.
I have always said that Nigeria is under-policed, and it has always been a challenge. I've always said there is a benefit in the traditional police we have now. It's no more is not active. We should look at community policing.
Okay. And that can only happen if states eventually introduce it.
You see, when we look at...
Sorry. Community policing is different from state police.
Different from state police.
Okay.
It's not
community policing is the one I'm talking about.
Not state policing.
Where we gather people.
Not state police. We can have state policing. It's still different from state police.
But doesn't state police give birth to community police?
No. What we are talking about the adjective policing.
Now talk about Frank.
The noun police.
Yeah, Frank. Talk about talk about community policing. Talk about state policing. Talk about the national security umbrella that we have at the moment, which is not sufficient. As a matter of fact. But the issue is the Nigerian police set out to recruit about 10,000 police officers recently.
Yes.
I did a thorough search, and I've always tried to make those data available, on this program. Ghana is a population of about 35 million, and they have well over a million police officers. Do you understand?
There's something I was coming to something.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
The point we are looking at the security challenge.
Yes.
Presently. That is why when you were saying that you are not feeling the impact of security in your place. And I try to draw you back to community policing, which is quite different from state police.
Okay. What exactly is community
policing? The inherent benefit is that there is a police officer there, but the policeman will not need to start carrying patrol van.
Oh, okay.
Or running up and down. The policeman needs to know everybody around his own immediate community, whereby the community themselves provides information. They liaise with the police. These are the bad boys. These are what is happening here.
So you mean like undercover?
No, they are not undercover.
Okay.
The principle of community policing says not in my backyard. Crime never takes place.
Never take place in my
in
backyard.
my own backyard. So if I say crime will not take place in my backyard,
So you are pushing it to the next
pushing
backyard,
it to the next
and then the
one.
next person in the
So the crime is
pushing
moving
it to the-
away.
You are chasing it out of
that
your
is community policing.
Oh, all right. Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning, Dari.
Morning, Dapo. Anishema.
Dari, how are you today?
I'm fine. I'm doing.
All right, let's take your call. I mean, your
Thank
thoughts.
you very much.
Yeah.
From my own perspective, every single crime to be committed.
Dari, first of all, tell us, is your immediate environment or where you live, is it secured?
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.